Last up, we're going to talk about how many hours should employees work. The world's employed adults work an average of 42 hours a week, according to new research by the World Bank and UC Berkeley. The 40-hour work week is the norm, but the debate about whether it should be is still very much alive. The Economist frames the question not as something to settle, but as a diagnostic. How you answer it reveals what kind of manager you are. The productivity evidence is harder to ignore than the culture war around it. Stanford's John Pinkovel analyzed British munitions workers from World War I. See, we're bringing in British stuff here, Jenny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
World War I, and found output declined beyond 48 hours per week and added nothing beyond 63. Sergey Brin reported old teams working on Google's AI that 60 hours a week is the sweet spot, a claim that sits awkwardly alongside the data we just shared. Narayana Murthy of Infosys has called for 70-plus hour work weeks to drive national prosperity in India. And Elon Musk, who we should never listen to, once said, nobody ever changed the world on 40 hours. The interesting question for me isn't the number, it's what the number signals. When a CEO publicly endorses a 60-hour work week, they're not describing productivity science. They're telling employees something about what the organization actually values and how safe it is to leave on time. Jenny, the research shows productivity plateaus around 48 hours, stops adding output beyond 63. If this evidence is this clear, why does the long hours myth persist, and who in the organization benefits from keeping it alive?
I mean, this makes me boil with rage somehow inside around we're still talking about hours at work, not the actual output or the outcomes or actually what's happening. And that's where we're still getting it wrong. I love the fact the research says it plateaus about 48 hours, stops adding after 63. That makes sense. When I was reading this, it reminded me of a book that I read last year, which I've got next to me, which is called Rest, which I think I recommended to you, if not sent to you, perhaps. To read. Now, this book is all about why you get more work done when you work less. And one part of this book talks about the 10,000 hours of practice. So quite often we hear this phrase of, if you do 10,000 hours of something, you'll become an expert in it. So I think that's where some of this myth comes from, which is like, you've got to do all this work in order to achieve something. But the research shows, and the book talks about the fact that those 10,000 hours of doing something has to be accompanied by 12,500 hours of rest and 30,000 hours of sleep in order for that success to be realized. And that's where I think it goes wrong. I think we've heard this 10,000 hours, and that has led to this belief that you have to do so much work in order to be great at something or achieve something or do that we sort of dropped off the rest of that, of the 12,500 hours of rest and the 30,000 hours of sleep. And it's a message I will keep sharing with people, that it's not about the hours you put in, it's about the output. I don't care if you're working 40 hours, 60 hours, 70 hours. What I care about is that thing is done. And if that thing takes a long time, then it does. But if it takes you 2 hours and you've then got the rest of the day off, then great. That's the focus.
I think for me, it comes down to like, who's it for? And going back to Elon, where he's like, nobody's changed the world on 40 hours. Some people don't want to change the world.
Yeah.
They just want to work. They're not the CEO. They're not the person that's going to profit from some kind of wild success. So yes, of course, those people are like, yes, please work 60, 70 hours, but it's for their benefit, not the employees' benefit. The employees do not benefit from working that long. I saw, I don't know the circumstances of this case, but I saw testimony from an employment trial where this person worked their employee 30 consecutive days for 10 hours a day because they were saying, well, no, they're salaried. They don't get paid hourly. So they're salaried. So they work as much as I need them to.
Oh my God.
That I think that's an extreme view. I think this is a little bit of a taste of that though, where it's, yeah, if you're getting paid hourly, if they were paying these people hourly, they would not want them working 60, 70, 80 hours a week.
No,
100% no. But because it's a salary, it's like, well, I paid you this amount. I'm going to get as much out of you as I possibly can, which I think is the danger.
Yeah, I mean, what an arse. I mean, I don't even, like, come on, like that's not being a human being, and that's not how you treat people. And it's almost this, the rise of technology is almost allowing people to compare technology to human beings in terms of output and what's possible. And that's apples and pears. That's not a fair comparison. What we do as human beings is completely different, but we need time to go away and think and mull something over and have that fresh air and do all of that. Like that's where our genius comes from, is being able to do that. And to your point, not everybody wants to change the world. Some people want to go to work, get a paycheck, go home and do all the wonderful things that are not work, like being with friends and family and sport and health and hobbies and all those other things. Like the whole question of this, like how many hours should employees work, a question that reveals something about every boss. It's the wrong question. I mean, that if you're asking that question, that says more about your culture than anything else.